Hi guys, hope you're all okay. It's Chantel. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about powdery fragrances. Now when I think of powdery fragrances, I think of like Johnson's Baby Talc, and I think of like powdered makeup, like with a powder puff, and I love that sort of smell. It really takes me back to my childhood because my nana always used to use Johnson's Baby like powder. Anytime she was getting ready, she always used to put a load on, and I used to really love the smell of it and how soft her skin felt. And also my grandma, she was a really elegant lady, and she always used to use like a powdered foundation, and I always remember like the smell of her makeup, and I really love it. It really takes us back to my childhood. So I thought I would go through a few fragrances today, and they all smell powdery but in different ways. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them and why I love them. So the first one is by Valentino, and it's called Valentina Poudre. Now this one is a beautiful, straight up powder smelling fragrance. It's super powdery, as in like talcum powder. It gives us a bit of a vibe of like makeup in a way. I'm gonna actually spray this one on. This one's very new to my collection. My husband just bought it for us very recently. It's like a little surprise, and it's one that I had never ever tried before, and I've really fallen in love with it. I think it's such a beautiful, feminine, powdery fragrance. It's such a good one, and it does take us back to like, it gives us like a vintage vibe, and I think it's so beautiful. But you've got to be into your powdery fragrances to love this one, because it is like straight up powder. This one's got iris, it's got ambrette in there. I think there's some sandalwood and musk, and it's just like, it reminds us of my nana's house when she was putting on like talc, and the smell of her makeup drawers and all of the like vintage smelling makeup, the powder puffs. And I used to love it whenever my nana was going anywhere, and she used to like get dressed and she had loads of makeup, and I used to sit there and put it on. I had like big blue eyeshadow and bright red lipstick, and I absolutely loved it. And I used to put like a tops on, because she had like really sparkly tops, like sequin tops and things, and I used to put them on and then march around in her high heels. But I was only like about 4 or 5 at the time, and I just love it, and it just takes us back to them sort of times, this fragrance, and I think it's just beautiful. So yeah, Valentina Poudre, if you're wanting like a super straight up powder puff type of a fragrance, such a beautiful classy fragrance that I think could be worn at any time of the year and could definitely be a signature scent. And this one lasts really well on the skin as well, and it leaves a lovely powdery clean smelling trail. So yeah, Valentina Poudre by Valentino, beautiful. The next one is totally different, and it's powdery in a different way. It's a beautiful fragrance that I adore so much. It's super unique, and it's Amwash Lilac Love, and I adore this bottle. I love the colour of it. I love like the colour lilac. I think it's so beautiful. This one is powdery in a sort of cocoa powder way. It's got heliotrope and lilac in here, and it's musky, and it's got that chocolate powder. It's as if you've dusted cocoa powder all over like some lilac and purple florals. It's beautiful. And then you've got the musks in there, and there's vanilla, there's tonka, and it's just the most unique, comforting sort of fragrance that I think is so beautiful. And you definitely would have to test this one out. It's not a safe blind buy at all, because it is very unique. The note breakdown is quite different, and it just smells totally magical to me. And every time I smell it, it just smells better and better. It's one of those fragrances that just smells so enchanting, and it's like a fairy tale. It's got like sort of that fairy tale vibe, but in a like sort of lilac powdery puff way. I just think it's beautiful. Another one that's super long lasting on the skin. And for me, I like to wear this one when the weather's a little bit cooler, because it can become a little bit cloying in the heat. So yeah, Lilac Love from Amwash, such a beautiful cocoa powder floral type of fragrance, stunning. Then we've got Reminiscence Patchouli Blanc. I've just very recently spoken about this one in my affordable fragrance video. Now this one is a powdery fragrance, but to me, I said it in the last video, it reminds us of like chalk. You know, like the dust you get off chalk. It really reminds us of that. It's such a beautiful patchouli fragrance. It's quite musky, super powdery. There's hawthorn in this one. There's sandalwood. And it's just a really well done patchouli fragrance. And for the price that you can get this one for, it's an absolute bargain. It does smell very unique. You would have to like patchouli to like this one, but it smells super unique. And that powderiness in this one is absolutely beautiful. Another one that lasts pretty well on the skin. I'd say all these fragrances that I'm talking about today really last on the skin, and they really project as well. So yeah, Patchouli Blanc by Reminiscence. Then we've got an absolute favourite of mine. I love it so much, and this one really does take us back to my childhood. It's Insolence EDT by Guerlain. Now this just smells like Parma violets to me. And you know, like when you get the pack of Parma violet sweets, and at the bottom of the pack, when you've ate all the sweets, you've got like the remains of the powder from the sweets. Now this is exactly what this smells like powdered Parma violets. I just think it's absolutely stunning. This one always reminds me of my mum. Every time I smell it, it reminds us of my mum. I've told a story before, and I'll just tell it again briefly. I went on like a trip with the school when I was a little girl. I must have only been about 10, and we went, and it was like, I think, a 3-day thing. And I had never stayed away from home, like other than staying at like my grandparents and things. And I found it quite difficult. And every night you could go to like a tuck shop, and I always got a pack of Parma violet sweets. And it was like a sort of quiet time when you were winding down just before going to bed. And I always used to eat the Parma Violet sweets. And I remember like thinking of home and like my mum and my dad and just really feeling homesick. And as a child, that really stuck in my mind. And to this day, every time I smell anything that smells like Parma Violets, it takes us back to then. So this one is a special fragrance for me. Also, in later on in life, like when I was maybe in my late teens, my mum bought this fragrance and it was in a total different bottle back then, but it takes us back to then as well. But yeah, love this one so much. Straight up smells like Parma Violet sweet. If you love the smell of Parma Violets, you'll absolutely love the smell of this. Just such a beautiful, flirty type of fragrance, and I love it. That's Guerlain Insolence. Gorgeous. Another one by Guerlain is an absolute classic, and I really think this is a stunning fragrance. It's Bleue. Now this one is like a really vintage smelling powder puff type of fragrance. This makes me think of like Hollywood and the big stars getting ready back in the day, looking all glamorous. Maybe they've got their sequin dresses on, or like a silk dress, and they've still got their hair in rollers waiting to get them taken out, and they're just topping up their lipstick and powdering their nose. It's that sort of fragrance, and I just find it super magical. It's such a comforting one for me. This is one that I like to wear to bed. I think this smells super cozy and comforting, and I really do love that sort of vintage vibe. It's just beautiful, really gorgeous, really well rounded, an absolute classic fragrance. So yeah, Bleue by Guerlain. Stunning powder puff type of fragrance. The next one gives us like real vintage vamp sort of vibes. It's by Givenchy and it's called Noir. Now this is like a sort of nutty iris fragrance, and you've got a sesame note in there as well. But for me, it reminds us of like old-fashioned makeup. You know, like how old makeup has that really powdery smell, and the lipstick smells super waxy. It's that sort of vibe that I get from this, and it does remind us of like vintage beauties of the past and a sort of glam lifestyle. But for me, I find this one quite hard to wear. I can never sort of find an occasion to wear it. I just don't know what it is, but it does smell very unique and different. And I do think that this one is discontinued now, but for some reason I find it quite hard to wear. So yeah, but it is definitely a powdery sort of makeup smelling fragrance. So that's Noir by Givenchy. And the last one that I want to show you today is Giorgio Armani Fiori. Now this is totally different to all of the other fragrances I've mentioned. This one is more of like a fruity, floral, powdery fragrance, and it's got quite a lot of musk in this one. It's definitely got some white musk in there, but it's got notes of like black currant, there's rose, there's some citrus notes, and it just smells so good and so well rounded and well done. But it hasn't got that sort of makeup vibe that some of the other fragrances have got. It's not like super powdery, but the powdery vibe is definitely there. But it's just such a good one. I thought I'd definitely add it into the list. If you like a fruity floral fragrance and you don't mind a little bit of muskiness, this one is an absolute beauty. And it's not too powdery in whereas you're going to be overwhelmed. If you don't enjoy powdery fragrances, this would still be like such a good one to try. So yeah, see Fiori, beautiful fruity floral powdery fragrance. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite ever powdery fragrance, and don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Also, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Bye.